Hare Krishna, everybody. We'll start with the short invocation prayers today. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So I did a short invocation prayers today. So sometimes when, say, you are short on time, can do these short invocation prayers specifically glorifying the spiritual master, which is the first prayer we do, Om Jnanatirandasya. But of course, our prayers are not very long. I'm just trying to show as an example. So today, what we'll cover is Ram Vilas will answer inquiries and bring up on screen striking points. Second, you all will then answer homework questions. Then we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verses 23 to 29, and then Chapter 3, verses 1 to 39, and we will aim to finish Unit 1 today. And then I will briefly explain about the presentations that we will aim to do at following Saturday's class, which is 28th of September. So you all will be doing the presentations. We'll talk about that shortly towards the end of our class today. So I will bring up on screen the inquiries. Question number 1. Is there anyone who can tell what is in next person's mind or heart? Now, many of you should be able to answer this question number 1. Anyone wants to try answering this question number 1? Somebody? Almost all of you are capable of answering this question. Zizelle?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Krishna knows what's in everyone's mind and heart.
Okay, what about anybody else? Does anybody else can know anybody other person's heart or mind?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay.
I think nobody can tell anybody else's heart or mind.
Okay, what's the reference? So every time I answer, I provided reference for my answers. What's the reference for what Zizelle and Dipali said? Somebody help Zizelle and Dipali. Somebody? Yes, no?
Hare Krishna. I don't remember the exact verse, but I remember that in probably in 13th chapter where body field is described, there Krishna says that he is the knower of all fields.
Yeah, very good. Correct answer. That in Bhagavad Gita chapter 13 verses 2 and 3, Krishna has described that we as individual souls, we know our own body, and that too partially. We do not know and we cannot know anyone else's body. And it is Krishna alone as Super Soul who knows everyone's body, and that too in 100%. So we all, going back to the question, we all cannot know anyone else's heart and mind. Forget others. We don't know our own self in 100%. And it is only the Super Soul who knows everyone from inside in 100%. So besides chapter 13 reference, you can also read 2.17. So it has the same answer in 2.17 also. Deepali, you want to read translation and purport from the screen or from the book?
Yes. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation: that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Purport: this verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand that anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to the another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. This soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size.
Okay. So it clearly explains that the pains and pleasures are limited to our own body, not known to other. And we cannot know others' mind and heart at all. Does that answer the question?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Question number 2. Does a soul has feeling? Does the soul get hurt? So many of you should be able to answer question number 2. Anyone wants to answer question number 2? Try answering quickly. Giselle?
Prabhuji, I'm not sure, but I can try. Is it related to Kshetra and Kshetra Gyan, where whatever the body is feeling, the soul feels?
Okay, very good. Correct answer. That yes, it's about the chapter 13 discussion about Kshetra Kshetragya with the movie theater example that we discussed. So we have discussed in chapter 13 verses 6 and 7 and the movie theater example. So let me bring up on screen chapter 13, and you tell me what is important word in reference to our question. Priyanka, read chapter 13, 6 and 7 translation, and everybody pay close attention and tell me what is the important word I'm looking for in relation to our question of number 2.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the five sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions.
Sorry, go ahead.
All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. Hare Krishna.
Mhm. So what's the important word I'm looking for? So what's our question? Does a soul has feeling? Does it get hurt? So reading 13.6 and 7, what's the important word I'm looking for here?
That is false ego.
Okay, false ego is what? Okay, somebody else help. Giselle?
Prabhuji, the field of activities and its interaction.
Okay. Somebody else. What is important here? Quickly. Everybody have studied chapter 13, almost everybody. What is important here?
Prabhuji, the light symptoms.
Okay. So let me answer. So first, the verse describes 13.6 describes the 24 elements. Then 13.7 describes the vikar or the changes that we go through. So these are standalone, but what makes the living entity as a combined whole is this word, the aggregate. So the body has nothing to do, it is just a shell. Then yes, you get the desires, the hatred, the happiness and distress. The life symptoms are basically the consciousness. But it's the aggregate, meaning the aggregate of all of this makes the living entity as a whole. So going back to the question says, does the soul has feeling? Does it get hurt? So when all these 24 elements are combined, and we also have the subtle feelings, plus the individual soul and the super soul makes the entire living entity. This individual soul and super soul are described in 13.25, not in 13.6 and 7. So coming back to the question with the movie theater example, that whatever is happening on the movie screen, the person watching the movie gets happiness and distress. Similarly, the soul gets the feeling of happiness and distress based on what happens to the body. So soul definitely has feelings. Does that answer the question?
Prabhuji, that mind is physical and it's different from, so is it the mind which is getting the feeling or the soul which is getting the feeling?
Soul experiences the feeling. So mind is a subtle part of our body. So a lot of things go through the mind, and I have described that the subtle body, meaning mind, intelligence, and ego, are the ways through which the interactions happen between the soul and the physical body. So mind plays a role, but the experience is of whatever changes are experienced by the soul. Pragya.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Then the soul will carry these feelings in the next body also.
So unless you purify your mind, when the soul leaves the body, so we have discussed that the mind, intelligence, the ego and the prana, they go together with the soul to the next body. So those impressions will continue in the next body. It means they are stored in the mind and they continue in our next body. They are stored. Whether those feelings are at the top or not is a different story. But the impressions are stored in the mind and the mind goes with the soul to the next body. Pragya?
Prabhuji, thank you. Just reflecting on that.
Nitya?
Prabhu, there would be then a difference between the conditioned soul and the perception of a liberated soul. And again, would these impressions of the subtle body carry with the liberated soul after liberation?
So liberation means you are liberated from material desires. Liberated soul doesn't carry anything. It's while you are in the transition from one body to the other, that the soul carries the mind, the intelligence, the ego, and the prana. These things go together with the soul to the next body.
Prabhu, then when one is completely liberated from material desires, attains a spiritual body, then these impressions do not go with the
Correct.
soul.
You are correct.
The perception also of the liberated soul would be different then, right, Prabhu?
You are correct. Priyanka, I had a question.
Prabhuji, actually, that was answered based on your last statement. So if I'm understanding this correctly, these are impressions on the soul. It's not that we carry it. Like the soul itself, we say that it's conditioned and it has coverings of anarthas and all of false ego and so on. So how do we understand that? And where we say that the soul has a feeling and it does get hurt and it experiences happiness or distress.
So the impressions are not on the soul. The soul remains pure. So I have Bhagavatam on the screen for a different topic, but the same Bhagavatam all actually describes. So if you read Canto 3, chapter 27, the first 5 verses, they clearly describe that. So verse number 1 says that the soul is always pure, whether the soul is in the human body or animal body, reptile body, fish body, bird body, does not matter. The soul is always pure. And then from verses 2, 3, and 4 talks about that when the soul is covered with the physical body as well as the subtle body, that's when the contamination begins and soul thinks, I am this body, and he has the doer mentality. So what carries in the next life is the impressions are in the mind, not in the soul. Soul stays transcendental forever. Is just that I explained in 13.6 and 7 Bhagavad Gita verse, the aggregate word is important. That the soul has the physical body and the soul has the subtle body. But it's when all these are combined, that's when it becomes a living entity. As the body, we know that the physical body and inside there is a soul. So soul experiences while in the body, whatever changes happen, just as in the movie theater example, we discussed that the movie watcher is experiencing happiness or distress based on whatever happens to the hero or heroine. Similarly, soul does experience happiness or distress based on whatever is happening on the body. But Priyanka?
Yes, Prabhuji, that helps. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Deepali, your question got answered?
Ji, yes, Prabhuji.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Question number 3. When someone in close relationship depart, who gets hurt? Is it the soul? Who cries? Is it the soul or the material body? So we already discussed that the material body is made out of 24 elements, is just a shell. And as we just discussed in the previous 2 questions, it is the aggregate that is the living entity. So the crying comes out from the physical body, and it is the soul that gets the feeling of hurt when a close relative leaves the body. Now, the next question is related, but does question number 3 got answered? Okay.
Prabhuji, did we say that it is the soul which gets hurt?
The soul,
Yes.
the soul experiences the happiness or distress. In this case, the distress of losing a family member or close friend.
So Prabhuji, if mind is not working, then also soul feels those experiences?
Soul will feel whatever happens in the body. So if somebody is in coma, yes, the physical body may not react, but there would be whatever happening in the body. The soul is always active and soul is always alive. The soul will experience.
So the soul will experience what is happening outside body?
Outside
the soul can listen?
That's a difficult question to answer, because the body is shut down in the coma stage. And the hearing continues. The seeing may not, like the eyes may be closed, but the hearing does continue. So whatever, let's say somebody is in coma, hearing is the absolute last sense that gets shut down. So even after, when somebody leaves the body, all senses shut down, but the hearing sense is the absolute last one to shut down. Therefore, whosoever is about to leave the body, or just when they leave the body, the recommendation is that one should chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or play Prabhupada Japa, or read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam scriptures. Pragya?
Hey, Prabhuji, thank you.
Divya?
That helped.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So I have a question. Is the soul should feel, right? Like that is not a bad thing.
Correct.
Whether you're liberated or you're contaminated, the soul will experience and feel things.
You are absolutely correct. The feelings will always be there, even in the liberated stage. The feelings are always there, and Krishna is looking for those feelings. Feelings are never gone away. We just have to transfer the feelings to Krishna from the material world and the bodily level. Divya?
Okay, Prabhuji. So then when there are like pure devotees on earth, etc., and they are all liberated technically. So when their soul will also feel through their body and mind, but just because their mind and body is working for Krishna, then they're only feeling spiritual things.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct that
Okay.
Prabhupada is a perfect example for this. So one time Prabhupada was very sick, And the doctors had done some test. And the doctor said to Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, based on the test, your disease is severe and you should be feeling a lot of pain. What are you feeling right now? And Prabhupada responded that I don't experience anything, because Prabhupada didn't say the second statement, that Prabhupada was never at the bodily level. So yes, the body is going through the pain, but Prabhupada was never under the modes of material nature, was never at the bodily level. So Prabhupada said, yes, the body is doing what it's supposed to do, but I am not feeling that pain. Prabhupada didn't say to the doctor that Prabhupada was not at the bodily level. So the pure devotees, yes, they also have feelings, but their feelings are at the spiritual level, and it will come up as my answer to one of the upcoming questions. That pure devotees are paradukka dukhi, that pure devotees feel the pain of others who are bound at the material level, that they are suffering at the material level, they don't even know, and this pains the pure devotee, that how do I help this materialistic person get out of the suffering? Divya?
Okay, Prabhuji. So when the soul is feeling material level things, then it is suffering. And when it's experiencing spiritual things, then obviously there's no suffering.
The soul experiences spirituality also. So when the soul, while in the material world, does devotional service, they do get the satisfaction that Krishna got satisfied. So it's not just material that the soul experiences. Soul also experiences spiritual happiness as well. And even the liberated person, they also do experience happiness, but that is all at the spiritual level. Divya?
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
All right. Question number 4. When someone says something to us, why mind feels sad at bodily level, but there is no effect on the soul? So when someone says something and it hurts you, means you are at bodily level of consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita 6.6, Krishna says, one who has conquered the mind is the best friend. Otherwise, the mind is your own enemy. And in 6.7, Krishna describes the result of one who has conquered the mind, that he is equipoised in dualities. So let's read Bhagavad Gita 6.6 and 7. Okay, Diksha, from the screen, 6.6 and 7.
Prabhuji, 6.6.
Highlighted 6 and 7.
Hare Krishna. Text 6. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends, but for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Text 7. For one who has conquered the mind, the supersoul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Hare Krishna.
So in here, in verse number 7, it explains these dualities: Sitoshna, Sukha Dukkada, and Man Apman. So when mind is controlled, we become peaceful. Hence, we are not excited by hopes of pleasure in this world. Thus, such a person is not affected by dualities. So Krishna is talking of 3 levels of dualities in 6.7 verse. So Sita means cold and Usna means heat. So Sita, Usna, this is at bodily level of dualities. Then Sukha is happiness, Dukkha is distress. So Sukha and Dukkha is at mental level dualities. And then Man, Apman. Man means honor, Apman means dishonor. This is at the level of ego. The duality is at the level of ego. So when one transcends all 3 dualities, it is Sita Usna at the bodily level, Sukha Dukkha at the mental level, Man Apman at the ego level, then he is a pure devotee, and then the Paramatma is already attained, means the super soul is already attained. So going back to the question that why somebody feels sad, because you are at bodily level of consciousness. Therefore, body feels hurt. But the soul is actually transcendental to material dualities. And further, Krishna explains the same point about honor and dishonor is at bodily level in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 22 to 25, and then in the purport Prabhupada explains. So let's go to chapter 14. So 22 to 25 is a stacked verse. Let's see. Abhishek Prabhu, you want to read translation and then paragraph number 2.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, a piece of gold with equal eye, who is equal towards desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature.
So Krishna is answering Arjuna's question about the internal and external symptoms of one who has transcended the mode. So Krishna is explaining that one who is equal in happiness and distress and equal to material things, and then who is equal in praise and blame, and the honor and dishonor again comes in the same verse. Paragraph number 2, if you want to read.
Yes. The next question concerns the dealings of a transcendentally situated person. The materially situated person is affected by so-called honor and dishonor offered to the body, but the transcendentally situated person is not affected by such false honor and dishonor. He performs his duty in Krishna consciousness and does not mind whether a man honors or dishonors him. He accepts things that are favorable for his duty in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, he has no necessity of anything material, either a stone or gold. He takes everyone as his dear friend who helps in his execution of Krishna consciousness. And he does not hate his so-called enemy. He is equally disposed and sees everyone on an equal level because he knows perfectly well that he has nothing to do with material existence. Social and political issues do not affect him because he knows the situation of temporary upheavals and disturbance. He does not attempt anything for his own sake. He can attempt anything for Krishna. For his personal self, he does not attempt anything. By such behavior, one becomes actually transcendentally situated.
Does that answer the question number 4?
Yes.
All right. Abhishek, you had a question?
Yes, but I'm a little confused here. Sometimes it is said that the soul is transcendental. Sometimes it is said that it is feeling things which are material. At other places, sometimes it is also said that soul is in a dormant state for a conditioned person. Can you clarify?
So soul is never in a dormant state. We have discussed in chapter 3 and chapter 5 Bhagavad Gita that soul is always active. So soul is transcendental. There is no denying. We read in, it's explained many places in Bhagavad Gita, as well as we read from Canto 3, chapter 27, verse number 1. What happens to the soul when the soul is in the material body, the covering of the material body and the subtle body, then the soul experiences what is going on in the body. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 27, actually further goes on to describe that this is actually a sleeping state for the soul. That these feelings are actually have no meaning, just as what we have discussed in chapter 13 with the movie theater example, that the person watching the movie gets happiness or distress when whatever is happening on the movie screen. Arey Baba, that is a movie screen. The hero or heroine are not actually getting hurt. It's just a movie. Similarly, whatever is happening on our body at the bodily level has real no meaning. But the soul came to the material world because of desires. So the soul experiences whatever happens to the soul in the body. Means whatever happens to the body, the soul experiences. In terms of what is dormant, soul is not dormant. The love for Krishna is dormant, which is described in Nectar of Devotion at great length. I'm hoping this answers your super excellent inquiry, Abhishek Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, if I understand correctly, it is the identification with the body which makes the soul feel the experiences of the body.
Yeah.
And if that identification is not there, then the soul does not identify with the material world.
You are absolutely correct. What you just said is actually described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 27. If you actually read, it actually almost says what Abhishek Prabhu just said is actually there at the very start of this, that you get out of the sleeping stage and then you will not. You see, and this is just as a dream. That material life is just like a dream. So we have to wake up and come to real life. And the same thing I have explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, the movie theater example, that stop going to watch the movie and then you will not experience the happiness or distress that is going on the movie theater screen, or if you understand that you will not experience whatever is happening at the material body level. Abhishek Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. Question number 5. It's a continuation of question number 4. That question number 5 says, and why soul and material body don't get disturbed when a non-related person or a distant relative dies? Because the soul is attached at bodily level to close friends and family. Hence, the living entity feels separation from close friends and family, or even when the close friends and family are hurt or when they leave the body. So, seeing the level of attachment of all living entities to their respective bodies and to their close friends and family, therefore, in Canto 3, chapter 27, verse number 17, Devahuti goes on to ask to Lord Kapila that is it even possible for the soul to separate from Prakriti or separate from material body? So Lord Kapila is Krishna himself, and Lord Kapila appeared in the material world to teach all of us devotional Sankhya Tattva. So all these Canto 3, chapter 25 to 33 are a very, very heavy topic. These chapters are known as Kapila Siksha. So Sankhya, dry Sankhya means the analysis of the 24 elements, which we briefly discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 13 verse number 6. And Lord Kapila came to teach devotional Sankhya. In devotional Sankhya, besides the raw philosophy of 24 elements, the additional component is the relationship between Purusha, meaning the Lord, and the Prakriti. So Devahuti sees the entanglement of the living beings with the body. Therefore, Devahuti goes on to ask this very, very important question. Is it even possible to separate the material body and the soul? Nitya, if you want to read what is highlighted from screen, which is 3.27.17.
Yes, Prabhu. Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature never give relief to the spirit soul? Since one,
read again.
Okay, does material nature ever give relief to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible?
Yeah, so it's a very important question that Devahuti is asking to Lord Kapila. So where she says Brahmana, she is referring to Lord Kapila, who is Krishna himself. She says, is it even possible for the jiva to separate from this material world, this material body? And the Lord Kapila goes on to describe the solution, that to get out of the entanglement, the solution is to do devotional service. That by understanding devotional Sankhya, Jiva knows about the Lord, Jiva knows about the process of devotional service, Jiva knows about the inferior material nature or the external energy, and Jiva this way knows the whole package. So when you become a pure devotee, means you are at the level of soul. At that time, the pure devotee gets pain by seeing the sufferings of materialistic people, because the devotees are paradukkha dukkhi. Hence, the pure devotee tries to get materialistic people out of material entanglement by engaging them in devotional service. Does that answer the inquiry? All these questions seem to be very simple, but they are very, very important inquiries. Do you all think so?
Ji Prabhuji.
All right. Question number 6. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.4, why does it say 1,000-year fire sacrifice? So remembering a sacrifice for 1,000 years is a very big accomplishment. Please clarify this. So I will again bring up on screen Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.21. Let's see. So in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.21, the lifespan of people in different yugas is described. That in Satyuga, the lifespan was 100,000 years. Therefore, they could perform meditation for 50, 60,000 plus years. In Treta Yuga, the lifespan was 10,000 years. In Dwapara Yuga was 1,000 years. And in Kali Yuga, max it's 100 years. So going back to the question in 1.1.4, where it says that the sages had assembled to perform 1,000-year sacrifice. So understand that they were doing this in the Dwapara Yuga. And the sages had assembled just at the dawn of Kali Yuga. So 1,000-year sacrifice was that sages would do the sacrifice for 1,000 years. And if the sage leaves the body before completing the sacrifice, then the child of the sage will continue the sacrifice till the 1,000 years are completed doing the sacrifice. Does that answer the question in terms of the 1,000 years from question number 6? Yes, no, silence. All right. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.21, the change in yuga was gradual or sudden, like Satyug to Dwapara, Dwapara to Treta, Treta to Kali Yuga. So everyone, I want everyone to please answer my question to this question number 7. My question is, what will you do with the answer to this question number 7? Everybody, please answer. Quickly. What will you do if I give you the answer to question number 7? What will you do with that answer?
Prabhu, it would just be philosophy. I don't think there's any application, just a knowledge point, which really won't matter.
Knowledge, no practical application. Okay, rest of you quickly answer. Everyone should answer. What will you do with the answer to question number 7?
Same, Prabhuji, it will just be for knowledge. I don't see a practical application for me, at least.
Okay, very good. Everybody, please answer quickly.
Prabhuji, maybe the knowledge will help to understand that the Kali Yuga may come to an end suddenly, or will that be a gradual thing?
Okay, and even if Kali Yuga ends suddenly, what will you do with that?
Again, Prabhuji, just for knowledge.
Do you have any control on that?
No, none at all.
Okay, very good. Rest of you who have not answered, what will you do with the answer? I will still answer, but I first want to know what will you do with this? Abhishek.
This looks like knowledge purpose only.
Okay, but what are you going to do with that knowledge?
It doesn't. I'm not sure if it will make any difference.
Okay, very good.
To me.
Zizel.
Prabhuji, same as everyone else said, just for knowledge purpose, but then focus on practicing our devotional.
So everybody should answer. I'm asking you to answer something. You should try to answer. Otherwise, you are not endeavoring. So the question answers means it will create waves in your mind, and the waves are meant to purify yourself. So we will discuss in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, that the transition from one yuga to another is a gradual process. It's not like you turn on a digital switch and it becomes next yuga. It doesn't work that way. It's a very gradual. like a gray scale, like how it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, or if you go the other way, it becomes darker and darker and darker. So in Canto 1, Chapter 17, we'll discuss that Kali Yuga had already started, but Kali Yuga could not flourish because of the presence of the pious King Parikshit Maharaj. So short answer, that the change from one yuga to the other is a gradual process. It's not a sudden process. So the reason why I asked you what you will do with this answer is that you have to judge for yourself, that when you ask a question, that if your answer is that you will put a tick mark, okay, I got this knowledge, and you have no practical application for it, that's a Jnani level question. So we are not trying to become a Jnani, we are trying to become a Bhakta. So such Jnani level questions have no meaning. We discussed this in our previous class, that what kind of knowledge I need and what kind of knowledge I don't need. So this question number 7, knowledge, has no relevance for our Bhakti Yoga process, for trying to become a devotee. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, sir.
Question number 8. What is devotional service? The service we do at the temple or book distribution, what is that? Question number 9 is related. What is Bhakti Yoga? Is it following the principles of chanting 16 rounds, or is it something else? So devotional service is not restricted to few activities. So you doing devotional services at the temple, such as many of us will be going tomorrow Sunday to help with the Sunday feast, cut-up service, or book distribution, or any other services, are all devotional services, including the reading of scriptures that we are doing right now, including doing japa, including listening to Srila Prabhupada lectures or your spiritual master lectures. So all these are Bhakti Yoga activities. Following 4 regulative principles, chanting at least 16 rounds, are rules and regulations of the Bhakti Yoga process. They are Vidhi and Nishedas. So Bhakti Yoga means remembering Krishna 24 hours. So you can do Bhakti Yoga while cooking, while cleaning, while taking shower, while driving, while walking, etc., etc., etc. Does that answer the questions?
Yes, Prabhu.
Always only Nitya who seems to be getting the answers and responding. Everybody should respond if you get the answers to the questions. Question number 10, a very important question. I mean, all are important questions. Question number 10 is, if one rips off all modes of material nature, including goodness, how he could enter into transcendental condition? Could you please enlighten? Now, sometimes I edit the question, but here in this question number 10, I specifically left the words rips off in the question. Well, that's a very important word to understand. So we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 that we defeat the lower modes by placing ourselves in the higher mode. Example, if I am feeling sleepy, and sleepiness is a characteristic of the mode of ignorance, and to defeat the mode of ignorance, I place myself in passion by walking. And activity is the characteristics of the mode of passion. Similarly, by placing ourselves in the mode of transcendence, meaning by doing devotional service, we defeat the lower modes. So Krishna has explained this in Bhagavad Gita 14.26. It's a key memorization verse. Anybody wants to memorize or recite 14.26? Mamchayo Avyabhicharine?
Prabhu, I can try.
Yep.
Mam sayo avyari vicharini bhakti yogana devata sahaguna samadikvam brahma bhutaya kalpate.
Very good recitation. Nitya, read translation.
Yes, Prabhu.
You have it on screen.
Yes, Prabhu, I got the book. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Right? So, one who does devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, then at once he transcends the modes of material nature. So, it is not that you have to rip off the modes of material nature. You just go one step above to the mode of transcendence by doing devotional service, and that is unfailing in all circumstances. Then you transcend the modes. So this ripping off of the modes is not possible at all. Ripping off would be like you trying not to get wet while you have fallen in the ocean. It's not possible. You will get wet. And this Krishna has explained in Bhagavad Gita 18.40 that no one can avoid the modes. Kunal Prabhu, 18.40 translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from the three modes born of material nature. Hare.
So no one is freed of the modes. You just have to place yourself in the fourth mode, which is the mode of transcendence. You have to do devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances. That's when you will transcend the modes. Now, I will bring up a practical example. So devotees from all batches who are locally here in Toronto and around area, I have a separate WhatsApp group for services related messages. So I sent a message a few days ago. No one responded. And then I sent a reminder. I said, I need a response from everyone. Are you coming to do devotional service this Sunday or not? So I said, whether or not you are coming, I need a response from you so I can plan accordingly. Still, some of them didn't respond. So you judge for yourself that how are you doing devotional service unfailing in all circumstances if you don't even respond to my messages for devotional service? So generally we go to the temple once a month for service. I mean, sometimes it's more. But many devotees, they were following up with me before Janmashtami. Oh, Prabhu, when are we going for services? What time? Tell me, I have to come. Are Baba, doing services on Janmashtami is not unfailing in all circumstances. Unfailing in all circumstances means it's a continuous process. So whenever the service opportunity comes, you have to grab it. with open arms. So I'm not saying drop everything in the material world. No, you have to find a balance. But if most of the time you are only coming on Janmashtami or Radhashtami, well, then what's the difference between you studying scriptures and the materialistic people? The materialistic people on Janmashtami Day were lined up till following day 2 a.m. to get a glance of Krishna. Well, are you any different? Where's the transformation happening? So if you want to transcend the modes, then you have to do devotional service, unfailing, avyabhicharine bhakti. Then you'll be able to transcend the modes. Questions, comments, realizations? Very important word, rip off. Everybody on the same page?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ji
Now,
Prabhuji.
question number 11 is a related question. I already answered this. So question number 11 is identical to what Arjuna asks in Bhagavad Gita 14.21, that how to transcend the modes. So we already discussed the answer also. So if you read 14.21, Arjuna asks 3 questions in 14.21. And basically his third question is how to transcend the modes is identical to the devotee asking the question, how to become free from the contamination of the modes. So I already answered that. Krishna gives the answer in 14.26, that situate yourself in the 4th mode, meaning do avyabhicharine bhakti, unfailing in all circumstances, then you will transcend the modes. Questions, comments, realizations? So today we are taking a lot more time on the questions. Therefore, you realize that how I started with the short invocation. So most likely looks like we will not finish what we were planning to do with Canto 1, Chapter 3, but we'll progress as much as we can. And most likely the presentation will get pushed 1 week forward. All right. Question number 12. Please explain Paramatma realization is but a partial realization of Vasudeva. And if one is successful in that attempt, one realizes Vasudeva in full. The question is, if it's partial realization, meaning the Paramatma realization, how is Lord Vasudeva understood in full? So this statement comes from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.28 and 29 purport. So these verses, we actually will be discussing them today. We have not yet discussed. So if you read the purport, it actually has the exact same statement for what the question says. So this whole paragraph is explaining about Ashtanga Yoga process. So from the yoga ladder discussion, Ashtanga Yogi adds bhakti to attain Bhagwan realization is actually explained here. So the devotee who has asked this question is yet to attain the yoga ladder classes. So therefore the question came up. But basically it's explaining Ashtanga Yoga process. And then the Ashtanga Yogi adds bhakti to attain Bhagwan realization. If the Ashtanga Yogi only stops at doing the Ashtanga Yoga, then he realizes only the Paramatma. Then he doesn't realize the full Bhagwan realization. Does that answer the question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Prabhu.
Question number 13. How to better understand the reading materials we have and remember what we are reading? Now, this is a very practical question for all of you. That if you simply listen, you will retain very little. If you make notes, you will retain more than what you were when you were simply listening. And if you speak on the topic, then you will retain the most. So our spiritual endeavors that we do every week of providing striking points and inquiries, as well as the presentations after each unit, are meant for this exact same purpose, for you to retain the most of what we discuss. So for your spiritual endeavors, you can form a small group to discuss the spiritual endeavors. This will facilitate you ending up speaking on the subject. Thus, there is a greater opportunity to retain the topic. Now, a few devotees from our class who are present here right now, they do complete their spiritual endeavor in a small group. They set up a time offline and discuss whatever we discuss in class, and then they come up with the answers to the questions as well as the striking points and inquiries. So you all can also form that small group among yourself or join the one that is already there. Now, some of you are also having challenges to complete spiritual endeavor. What you should do is you should complete your spiritual endeavor in a group. So we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14. We discussed in question 10 and 11 today also, that how to overcome the modes. Krishna gives 10 factors to change externally so as to influence the internal modes. With these 10 factors are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11. I'll give you an example that if I have exams coming up, and for my studies, if I go to a dark room where everyone else is sleeping, the result will be I will also end up sleeping. Alternatively, if I go to the library where everyone is studying seriously, then I will also be in the mode of seriousness to study. So what has happened that by changing the externals of going to a library, we can change the internal modes. So many devotees from earlier batch have also attended Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 discussion out of sequence just to understand the modes. So if any one of you is interested on Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 practical aspects on how to see the modes and how to get out of the control of the modes, then batch 5 Bhagavad Gita class for tomorrow Sunday and the following Sunday are happening just in time on the same topic of Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 on the modes. So batch 5's tomorrow's Bhagavad Gita class starts 15 minutes early at 9:45 a.m. Toronto time. It will be 7:15 p.m. India time. So let me know if this answers your inquiry, as well as those of you who have formed a group. Right now I see Zizel and Malti present. You can speak on your experience for the benefit of all in terms of how you speak, discuss in a group to complete your spiritual endeavors. Zizel, Malti.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
No.
Prabhuji, me, Malti, and Meghna, we set up a time like in the day because we all have work, so we just discuss which time will be free. So usually it will take around 2 days, and in case like one of them cannot be available when we are discussing, then we do send the answers that we like two of us may have discussed, and she can add to an additional point to it, or she can call in and discuss which point she would like to change or add, and then we edit the answer and we send it to you directly.
Okay, very good. So what Zizel, Malti, and Meghna do is they do the spiritual endeavor collectively, and one of them submits the answers. So you all can also do it. And Zizel can explain what's your experience in terms of question number 13, in terms of retaining what all you discuss.
Prabhuji, it's helpful because it like when we are reading the verses, like when one is reading, they explain whatever they are understanding during their explaining, and the others like who didn't see it in that perspective, they get a better insight on what one of us said. Then they share their insights, like what they understood or what they feel. So it helps each other understand what we are not seeing from our end also.
Okay, very good. That is super excellent. And not only you retain what you are discussing, this actually is what Zizel, Malti, and Meghna are doing is actually Bhagavad Gita 10.9 in practice. 10.9, anybody wants to recite? Mat chitta mat gata prana. Very important verse. Anybody wants to recite?
Then try Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Matchita matgata prana yogamante parasparam kathayanti samam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha.
Tushyanti cha ramanti cha and bodhayanta parasparam. Malti wanted to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to recite, but it's okay.
Recite, you also recite.
Machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mama nityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha.
Right? Bodhayanta parasparam kathayantas chamam nityam. That devotees come together and they discuss about me, Krishna, eternally, nityam. Malti, read the translation from the screen.
Yes, Prabhuji. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their hearts are their lives are fully devoted to my services, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer question number 13 about how to retain what we are hearing and reading?
Yes, Prabhu.
Always.
Ji Prabhuji.
For those of you who still have challenges completing endeavor, form a support group of doing your endeavors together with somebody. And join tomorrow's batch 5 Bhagavad Gita class for a refresher on how to overcome the modes. All right. Question number 14. Why would Lord Krishna be happy to take us back to Godhead? So all of us, we were in the spiritual world and we adamantly told Krishna that I want to go to material world to enjoy the modes. Krishna did not want us to go to material world. Krishna told us, don't go to material world because material world is a place of misery. But we all were adamant. No, I want to go to the material world. And because Krishna does not interfere with our free will, therefore We are in the material world. But Krishna wants us to go back to spiritual world so that our suffering ends. Hence, Krishna will be happy when we go back home to Godhead. And this is the purpose of Krishna, to come to the material world. Krishna did not come to the material world to kill the demons. Killing demons is a side business. Krishna's main purpose is to regenerate the devotional service so that everyone can go back home to Godhead. So just as in the material world, a child has an argument with the parent and the child leaves the home, but the parent longs for the child to come back home. Similarly, Krishna is our father. And Krishna wants all of us back home to Godhead. But we do not want to go back. That is where we stand. Does that answer the question?
Prabhu, may I ask a question?
Mansi first.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, on your answer, I have one question. Like, in the spiritual world, there are no three modes of material nature. There is no effect of the modes of material nature. So, why we desire to come back from, come to material world?
Yeah. So we discussed this in Bhagavad Gita 13.22, Bhunte, that we wanted to enjoy separate of Krishna. So we became, at some point of time, we became envious of Krishna, that why is Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead and enjoying everything? I also want to enjoy. And that's where we said that we want to enjoy like Krishna, but separate of Krishna. So Krishna says, in the spiritual world, only Krishna can be the supreme enjoyer, supreme controller. And if you want to enjoy separate of Krishna, then you will have to go to the material world, where you will have the illusion that you are enjoying, but actually you are not. And the analogy to explain this is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, that in the material world, say a child wants to drive a car. He's very, very small, like 2 or 3 years of age, but he wants to drive a car. So the parent holds the child in the lap, and the child only has his hands on the steering wheel, but it actually is the father driving the car. But the child gets the illusion that, oh, I am driving the car, that I am the controller. Similarly, we all are in this illusion in the material world. Even in the material world, Krishna is still the controller. We just have the illusion that we are the controllers. Mansi?
Yes, Prabhu. Got it. Thank you.
Nitya?
Prabhu, was the material universe created because of the spiritual beings wanted to enjoy? Was that the basis why material?
You are absolutely correct. 13.22 is the base, that the seed was, that the bhunte, because of our enjoying mentality, the material world is created so that we can satisfy our enjoying desires, or we result in suffering also, but basically it started with the bhunte. Somebody else also had something to say or ask. All right, last question for today. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.16, there is a mention of asuras. Who are these asuras? So in that same Bhagavatam 1.2.16, the discussion references Bhagavad Gita chapter 16. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 16 is titled Divine and Demoniac Nature. So asuras or demoniac persons are not necessarily with horns and tails. Anyone having desires to enjoy in the material world is an asura, is a demoniac person. Does that answer the question? Any questions, comments, realizations? All right. Striking points, 4 slides. This is slide number 1. Please take a snapshot. Slide number 2. Slide number 3. And slide number 4. Questions, comments, realizations before we continue Canto 1, Chapter 2 discussion from where we left off? All right, let's continue. But before that, you can take turns to answer the homework questions you had. And I'm actually sorry that for the question number 1 that I gave last time, I gave incorrect Bhagavatam reference. So the question 1 was, what are the 2 very difficult problems for a devotee to go back home, and what is the solution? The correct verse references are 17 and 18. So Canto 1, Chapter 2, verses 17 and 18. Whosoever wants to answer? Quickly. Giselle? Giselle, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. The 2 problems are material bondage and attachment, the enjoying mentality for sense gratification, ignorance and material enjoyment, like false ego and lust. This is all in one, like the first problem. And second is action and reaction for fruitive activities, that is karma kanda, which ties everyone in birth and death cycle.
Okay, very good. What is the solution?
Solution is bhakti yoga, that is knowledge with devotional service, or dovetail all activities into devotional service. And second, detachment from material affection, that will give freedom or liberation.
Okay, very good. So correct point. So the 2 problems are described in verse 17. So Giselle summarized it very nicely. So the 2 problems are woman and wealth are very difficult problems for a devotee to make progress on the path of going back home to Godhead. And the remedies described in verse 18, that service and association to the 2 Bhagavatas, meaning book Bhagavata and devotee Bhagavata, are competent remedies to eliminate all obstacles and all inauspiciousness things within the heart. Very good. What's the next question? Although the answer could be very long. Somebody wants to try? What is the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam?
Prabhu, I can.
Go ahead, Nitya.
By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotee, Lord Krishna cleanses from within, Bhakti awakens in our hearts, we become attached to the positive and detached from the negative. The lower modes go away, one reaches the stage of goodness, and then able to arise above to the stage of transcendental goodness. One becomes liberated from all contamination. So by hearing, one becomes purified, desires and doubts go away, one engages in unalloyed devotional service and all suited activities.
Okay, very good. All right, let's we will cover Canto 1, Chapter 2, verses 23 to 29. We will not be able to cover Chapter 3 today. Therefore, we will push the presentations for Unit 1 week forward. Let's first discuss Canto 1, Chapter 2, verses 23 to 29. So this is part 4, verses 23 to 29. Title is Krishna or Vasudev is the supreme goal of life. So in these set of verses, it refutes demigod worship. So these verses explain not to worship demigods because demigod worship is not regarded as devotional service. For devotional service, one should worship Lord Vishnu with full intensity. Bhakti means devotional service to Krishna. Now, in these verses, there is a lot of discussion on how to respond to someone who thinks Shiva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These verses explain that Shiva is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's read verses 23 to 29 translations, and I will then summarize. Instead of going into tiny details, I will summarize the discussion from all these. Pragya, 23 to 29 translations. You have it on the screen or by yourself?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three forms of Brahma, three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. The firewood, text 24, a firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Previously, text 25, previously all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him, became free from material conditions, and thus derived the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. Text 26. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and the ghastly forms of demigods and worship only the all-blissful form of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. Text 27. Those who are in the modes of passion, ignorance, and worship, those in the same category, namely the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. Text 28 to 29. In this revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please Him. Yoga is for realizing Him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by Him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know Him. Religion, dharma, is rendering joying service unto Him. He is the supreme goal of life. Hare Krishna.
All right. So, what is the position of Shiva? How is the supremacy of Vishnu above others? So, understand the difference between Shiva Tattva and the demigod Tattva. Demigod Tattva is basically the same as Jiva Tattva, like you and me. So, all demigods, including Brahmaji, including Shiva of the material world, are at the Jiva Tattva level, like you and me. Sada Shiva is at a different Shiva Tattva. Shiva Tattva is in between the Jiva Tattva and the Vishnu Tattva. Vishnu Tattva is the highest, where Krishna, Vishnu, Narsimadev, all Vishnu, all Krishna's incarnations are at the Vishnu Tattva or the Krishna Tattva. So you cannot compare Sadashiva with other demigods. Sadashiva is an exclusive position. Now understand these different Shivas, that for each material universe, there is a Shiva for destruction, just as each universe has Brahmaji for creation. Now this Shiva in each material universe for destruction, this Shiva is not eternal. Similar to how Brahmaji for each universe is also not eternal. During partial annihilation, meaning during the 12-hour night of each day of Brahmaji, there is partial annihilation. And this Shiva within each universe does this partial annihilation also. This Shiva in the material world is in charge of the mode of ignorance. Then there is Sadashiva. Sadashiva resides on the Sadashiva planet. I have shown you visual for all of this. And Sadashiva planet is in between the material world and the spiritual world. Therefore, half of this Sadashiva planet is in the spiritual world, which is glowing, and the half of this Sadashiva planet is in the material world. Therefore, the lower half is dark. And this Sadashiva is eternal. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam describes different Shiva at different places, and at times it can be very confusing as to which Shiva it is referring to. We'll cover in Canto 4 that one statement in the purport refers to two different Shivas, one to Sadashiva and one to the temporary material world Shiva. And on a simple read, it's not really easily identifiable. How Vaishnavas understand the position of Shiva in relation to Vishnu is that if you directly say to somebody that Shiva is not supreme, only a demigod, and Vishnu is supreme, everyone will become defensive. Therefore, you slowly come to your own and correct Shastric reference to prove your point. So in one of the Purana, Shiva himself says that Vishnu or Krishna is the supreme. So you quote this to those who come to say that Shiva is the supreme. You say, Are Baba, Shiva himself is saying Krishna is supreme. Then how come you are saying that Shiva is supreme? But go step by step. If you show this reference, this scriptural reference to somebody who thinks that Shiva is the supreme, and you show this reference that Shiva says Krishna is the supreme, he will become very defensive. In 1.2.23, the verse we read today says that even when demigods come from the same Purusha, but ultimate benefit can only be derived from Krishna or Vishnu. The verse says to worship Krishna or Vishnu. So Brahma, Shiva, they are indirect gods. Vishnu is the direct god. And great sages worship Vishnu for liberation. And an example is given in 1.2.24. Is a very deep analogy that there is wood, from wood comes smoke and then comes fire. So you cannot perform sacrifice just with the wood without fire. Meaning there is connection between the wood, the smoke and the fire. Similarly, Shiva and Brahmaji are not independent of Krishna or Vishnu. This is very important to understand and to explain to others. Now, question for you all. Is wife separate or not separate from the husband? Everybody, please answer.
Separate room.
Okay, everybody, please answer.
Separate soul, Prabhu.
So I didn't ask at the soul level. My question is wife separate or not separate from husband? Priyanka.
Still separate, Prabhu. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Rest of you, please answer quickly.
Prabhu,
Malti also says separate. Vijay Prabhu says after marriage is not separate. Okay, I got a variety of answers. Okay. Divya says they are separate, but one family. Zizel says separate. I got a variety of answers. Very good. Pragya,
Prabhu, can I try?
Yeah, Mansi, go ahead.
Prabhu, at the bodily level, they are different, but at the like to for their whatever the karma they do, like the husband does his pious karma, the wife will get 50% of benefit, and the wife do some a karma or like dushkarma, then husband will also suffer from that. So that's how they are connected, and their bodily level they are different.
Okay. Mansi gave a jumbled response, but okay, it's actually a very good response. Who else wanted to say?
Guruji, but if they are following Krishna consciousness, like worshipping deities at home, then they are one. Like, but in the material world, they are separate.
Okay. I already have created a lot of confusion, I think. Okay. Who else is left to answer? Is the wife separate or not separate from the husband? Who is left?
Prabhuji, I had answered separate, but they are separate individuals, but one family, so they are together also. They run the same vehicle together.
Okay. All right, let me answer. So the answer is both, meaning they are separate as well as not separate. This is Achinta Bhed Abhed concept, that individuality is different. What Priyanka did answer is correct, that the soul level, even at the bodily level, they have their individuality. But for any yajna, you would notice that both are required. So a chaste wife is not different from husband. Similarly, Shiva is a chaste follower of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So wife's position is glorified when she is a wife of a husband. So calling Shiva as separate from Krishna is actually an offense because they are not separate. They are linked the same. We discussed the analogy of the wood, smoke, and the fire. So Shiva says by taking shelter of Shiva, yes, you can get liberation, but will take a very, very long time. Because Shiva has to first get that benediction from Krishna and then give it to you. But Krishna can directly liberate you at any time. Plus the way demigod worship happens in the material world right now, including the Shiva worship, forget liberation. They are not really going to get any benediction. It's done in a wrong way. Krishna has clearly said in Bhagavad Gita 9.23, Avidhi Purvakam, demigod worship is done Avidhi Purvakam way, wrong way. Therefore, Krishna says demigod worship is not required. So demigod worship will take a long time to realize God because it is karma marg. Plus, even if you realize God, that still will be partial realization. We have discussed this in yoga letter that by karma yoga, you can attain Brahman effulgence provided you do it properly, but it is very difficult path. But if you follow bhakti process, it will give you quick and full realization of God. Questions, comments, realizations on the topic of Shiva and whether wife is separate or not from husband?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Abhishek, Prabhu, go ahead.
Two questions. One is, can you just kindly explain this analogy of wood, fire, smoke again? I could not follow.
Yeah. So
And second, yes, please go
let me
on.
answer. Let me answer. So fire comes from wood. Smoke also comes from wood. But there is a link. You cannot just use wood alone in a yajna. You need fire also. So there is a link between the wood, fire, and the smoke. Similarly, Krishna and Brahmaji and Shiva, they are not independent. They are all linked. We have discussed this in the offenses class, that to consider Brahma and Shiva as independent as well as separate from Krishna are both offenses. So Shiva and Brahmaji are not separate from Krishna. There is a link with them. But Brahmaji and Shiva are not the supreme. Krishna is the supreme. Abhishek Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Nitya?
Prabhu, I just want to seek a clarification. Lord Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. But is Sadashiva also, from the origin is from Lord Krishna?
Everyone originates from Krishna, not just Sadashiva. Everyone. Krishna has said, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. What's the verse for this?
10.8
Very, very good, correct. Right? Everything comes from Krishna. And even in Bhagavatam, we read in the same chapter. Everything comes from Krishna, not just Sadashiva. Everything and everyone. Nitya,
So,
Thank you, Prabhu.
Pragya.
so Prabhuji, then what is the difference between Shiva and Sadashiva that you were explaining? Both
So
have come from Krishna.
both have come from Krishna. I mean, Shiva in the material world comes from Sadashiva. So indirectly, of course, they come from, everyone comes from Krishna, like how we also get our bodies from Brahmaji. Brahmaji comes from Krishna, we come from Brahmaji. So indirectly, we also come from Brahmaji. Of course, at the soul level, we all have come from Krishna. So the difference is that Sadashiva is at a different tattva. The Shiva in the material world at the demigod level is just a demigod, and all demigods, including Shiva of the material world, including Brahmaji, are at the Jiva Tattva level, like you and me. Okay.
See, Prabhuji, you mentioned that the scriptural references say that Shiva was worshipping Krishna. Is there the other way around also, that anywhere that Krishna has worshipped Shiva?
There is no reference for Krishna worshipping Shiva. Of course, do understand that when Krishna was in the material world, there is obvious reference for Krishna worshipping Narad Muni. So understand the context for this, or Krishna worshipping Sudama. So understand the context for both. This context is that Krishna is playing the role of a householder, and Narad Muni is an elevated Brahmana. Sudama is an elevated Brahmana. So Krishna is trying to show by example that how a Brahmana should be worshipped and respected when a Brahmana visits your house. So that's the context. You cannot take that, oh, Krishna is worshipping Narad Muni. You cannot just say that statement on itself or take that statement on itself. You have to understand the context. Okay.
Ji Prabhuji, that helps. Thank you.
Vijay Prabhu has a question. How can one become Shiva, or what qualifications are needed? So can only become Shiva, meaning a demigod. So I don't know the qualifications for each and every demigod. And definitely I don't know the qualification for Shiva. In Bhagavatam, so the qualifications will be there in some scriptures, in one of the Puranas or in Vedas. I just don't have it. For Brahmaji, the reference, the qualification comes up in Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore I know it, that if you live 100-year life without committing a single sin, then you are shortlisted to be qualified for the post of Brahmaji, and still it depends whether Krishna gives you that post. Now this 100-year life without committing a single sin, just visualize that you are walking on the street and you are killing so many insects. Some you don't even see. Now you have to live 100-year life on Earth or Earth-like planets without committing a single sin, including not even killing insects that you don't even see. You can understand how difficult it is. Vijay Prabhu, does that help you? All right. So the last few verses is part 5. Divya has a question.
Prabhuji, quick question. So when Lord Krishna was here on earth, who did he pray to? Did he pray to anyone, like to show us who to pray to?
Yeah, it's explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. Should be chapters 55. There are 4 chapters, I think, around Rukmani, pastimes with Rukmani. And Krishna sat down, he woke up early morning. He actually shows by example that he has a very soft bed, but he wakes up early morning, not to be attached to the opulences, not to be attached to the beautiful wife. and he meditates on himself. Prabhupada explains there that we don't have to take this incorrectly that we can meditate on our own self. No, Krishna, there is nobody else to meditate. He's just trying to show how to meditate. So Krishna meditated on himself. That's what is described in Canto 10. There are 4 or 5 chapters around about with Rukmani around chapter 54, 55. Maybe.
Okay, Prabhuji. Are we allowed to meditate? We can only meditate on God. We can't meditate on. I've heard some people say they meditate on their guru. Is that okay or is that no?
You can meditate on your bona fide guru, not anybody and any guru. So there are so many pseudo gurus. You can meditate on your guru. It is because guru is Paramatma manifestation. It is described in Canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11. Should be either chapter 17 or chapter 27. I may be interchanging the verse number and the chapter number. It's somewhere described in Canto 11 that your bona fide spiritual master is a representation of Paramatma. So definitely you can meditate on your guru as long as the
Okay,
guru is
Prabhuji.
bona fide.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
So part 5 is verses 30 to 33. Purusha avatar, create and maintain. So from Canto 1, chapter 1, question number 4 of the sages, which is in 1.1.17. The question 4 is, who performs adventures in his various incarnations? This is about the Purusha avatars. And the answer is in these verses. Mansi, 30 to 33 translations. You have it on screen as well.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, 30 to 33, right?
Correct.
The Lord as supreme, the super soul, pervade all things just as fire permeates the wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties through the absolute one without a second. Text 33. The super soul enters into the bodies of the credited beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind.
All right. So basically it says that Lord is the super soul in everyone, and still he is the absolute one. He still has his own separate existence. And last verse is part 6, verse 34. Incarnations appear to reclaim the souls. And this is answer to question 3 of the sages from 1.1.12. Question 3 of the sages was, why did the Lord appear in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva? The answer is to reclaim people of the material world. I think everybody read, but I have lost track. Whosoever wants to read verse 34 translation? Quickly, somebody. Malti.
Yes, Prabhuji, text
34.
34. Does the Lord of the universe maintain all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals, assuming the roles of incarnations? He performed pastime to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Hare Krishna.
So direct answer that he comes to reclaim fallen souls. So we have completed Canto 1, chapter 2, and after every chapter at the end of the purport, Prabhupada says, Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Divinity and Divine Service. Questions, comments, realizations before I briefly talk about the presentations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The another question which I wanted to ask is Sadashiva and Lord Shiva difference. Is there like any references on that somewhere?
So there is a lot of references about Shiva. So what I explained about Shiva is a summary from many places. If you try to understand Shiva, it's a very difficult subject matter. I do not recommend to go there. Just take what I have given you. It's coming from Bhagavatam and many other places. And as you progress, you will get references. If you try to narrow down everything about Shiva, it is a massive subject matter. And you will get bogged down. So for now, take it what I have described in a nutshell, but it all comes from Srimad Bhagavatam as well as other scriptures also. All right. So Nitya was worried last class that the Unit 1 presentation, I have made only 6 divisions. And surprisingly, we still have 2 slots open. So we discussed today that you all should endeavor. Otherwise, you are not going to get the benefit, the full benefit. Yes, you are getting benefit. But if you don't endeavor, then you will not get the benefit. So those who have populated their names, thank you very much. And there are 2 slots open. So I request everyone. So I did send a message that I removed the restriction that for how we divided for few devotees for Unit 1 and few for Unit 2. Now everyone can please make a selection by end of day today in terms of what presentation you plan to do. So next week, we were planning to do the Unit 1 presentation, but it will not happen because we still have to cover Canto 1, Chapter 3. It's a straightforward chapter. We will not have a long class for this. So feel free to ask any and all questions. We ended up having a lot of questions to answer today. Therefore, we couldn't complete this Chapter 3, but it's okay. Your questions are actually your mercy on me, that because of your questions, I get to research on Krishna Katha and then speak Krishna Katha. So I thank you all. So I will briefly describe in terms of how you prepare for your presentation and how you do your presentation. So the presentations, you start by short invocation prayers. It's a one-line invocation prayer you say. The short invocation prayers is, I request permission and blessings from all devotees, from Srila Prabhupada, from Shri Shri Radha Krishna to be able to speak on the subject of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now the sequence is to be in this, that first is all devotees, then your living spiritual master, and then Srila Prabhupada, and then Shri Shri Radha Krishna. If you don't have your living spiritual master, then you can jump directly to Srila Prabhupada and continue. So just with this short invocation, you start talking about the essence. Now, for your preparation for your unit presentation, you first read the translation as to what is going on. You understand that each section I have divided, you are talking the essence. You are not going to present verse by verse by verse by verse. No. You just take, for example, if you are on Canto 1, Chapter 1, verses 4 to 8, they basically talk about the qualities of Suta Goswami as the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Canto 1, Chapter 1, Part number 3, verses 9 to 23, they basically talk about the 6 questions of the sages. So you just explain the essence. So you read these verses first, the translations and the purports. You read our notes. and you understand what is the essence. And I have also given you timeline. So stick within the time. Before you do your presentation, practice by yourself whether you will be able to speak what you have to speak within the timeline. Now do understand, for this unit 1, these timelines are very liberal. You look at my time for each unit, for each chapter, it's essentially 10 minutes or less. So right now, for your presentation, because many of you are doing it for the first time, the times are little more than what you actually need, but use it. And understand, I'm not sitting here with a stick that why you didn't complete in this time. Like, no, this is our practice ground. So you should feel comfortable to do your presentation, so you learn, and I will give you little feedback, not as chastisement, but feedback as improvement. If you are already 100% pure, then give me the dust of your lotus feet and I will put on my head. So is everybody okay to select the 2 slots that are open by end of day today, or you need to discuss offline with me in how to present? You are welcome to discuss offline, but you should be ready for your presentation. And last point, even though these devotees are presenting their respective parts, every one of you, 100% of the devotees, will be preparing all chapters, all parts, because this is a revision. We discussed in the class today, how do we retain? By revision. This is your revision to retain everything. So for example, if whosoever is presenting a particular part, does not mean that you will prepare only this much to what you have to present. No, you will prepare this, but you will prepare everything. This is your revision to do. I will pause here for everybody. Questions, comments, realizations. So those of you who have never done the presentation in our batches here, are you feeling comfortable? If you have any follow-up questions, ask me now or set up a time offline. Okay. Everybody okay to make their presentations? At least answer that part.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. Thank you for tolerating few extra minutes. Are we okay to stop here?
Thanks,
Yes.
bro.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you.